After the battle, something sits ill with me. Amid the sprawl of S-Corp's back street, destroyed with the flash, Ogdu had her gaze fixed somewhere high overhead. And at the end of her gaze are those photographs. A long line stretched across the open air, photographs hanging from it like laundry clipped to a clothesline. I mistook it for a kumjul warding rope at first and gave it little attention. Yet upon closer look, I saw those pictures hanging from the line. Perhaps they had been strung within the dark room and remained thus when the distortion took hold. Bizarre observation of unaffected elements in the space occupied by a location-type distortion is most irregular. Indeed, the items we bore from the studio have already changed into images of various sites of S-Corp, yet these alone remain as they were. Let's take them down and check them ourselves. Just as I was wondering if the line was perhaps too high for me to reach, Marcel stepped forward and plucked a few photos off of it. The instant he brought them to me, we heard another pop again, and a bright white flash blinded my vision for a moment. Good grief, the distortion likes to change its mind, huh? It keeps switching between S-Corp and N-Corp. This feels like getting caught in a flashbang detonation. My whole body tenses up, then goes slack right after. The other sinners were busy grumbling about the distortion and sudden jumps, except for Marcel, who stood right in front of me with the photos still held out in his hand. Oh, you didn't drop them? No. He gave his usual short answer, then returned his attention to the cylinder he had been shaking. He took out the film out of the container and flicked the liquid off with the clean, controlled motions. Is the processing finally done? Wait, we're back here with the lights on now. Is it okay to take the film out? Yes, exposure to light will not damage the film once development is complete, and the image is fixed. There is no cause for concern. That's a relief. I couldn't say I followed all of the technical details, but no cause for concern was all I needed to hear. Sighing in relief, I held up the photographs so I could take a proper look. So, see anything odd in there, Manager Bud? There's people in them. The people in the photographs all look different from one another. Yeah. There's somebody lurking in that one. If I had to pick one similarity between them, though, they all look cold and indifferent. Yeah, that's the city, alright. Ordinary folks you'd see anywhere. These aren't like the photos we picked up at the studio earlier. Are these the kind of photographs they used to make Can Experience? What was that? The scenery around us seemed to ripple just now. I was about to ask Faust if she had also felt the strange sensation, but it faded away soon enough. Perhaps it's nothing serious. Dante! No, tell people! Maybe it was just a spell of random vertigo? Is it even possible to get dizzy when I've got a clock for a head? No. Marcel must have noticed that I was out of sorts for a moment, because he seemed to pause on purpose before answering my question. No, I thought you said docugraphers take these photos to put into Canned Experience. Raw ingredients for Canned Experience are handled exclusively by the Grand Magazine CISP. There is no known method for external parties to access them. CISP, what's that? Oh, I think I've heard of it. Canned Experience, right? Canned Experiences, right? They're in high demand in other districts too, but the only brand stamped on them is Grand Magazine CISP. Same name every time. I remember some of my classmates bragging about trying them whenever exam weeks came around. Never had one myself though. I can't really explain it, but something about them feels kind of wrong. It's that popular, huh? The unprocessed base content of Canned Experience, known as experience matter, is supplied to reprocessing factories where docugraphers fine-tune the experience's details. Photographers are primarily used for that purpose. They can fine-tune experience? An easier example for understanding would be to consider why docugraphers take pictures of objects such as buildings. A purchaser may wish to experience living in a luxurious building that they could never afford. Another may wish to vent out impulses of violence by experiencing the burning of an expensive property. Demand for a haute couture can't experience is increasing by day. So that's why the photos from earlier were all fancy buildings. Yes, manager. Conversely, information concerning ordinary experience that can be easily encountered in reality is in low demand. Then why photograph these residents at all? Perhaps these were not images harvested for their commodity value, but pure photography in and of itself. Mayhap they have been captured for a desire to seize a vanishing instant through a lens. There are people who take photographs knowing that it could cost an exorbitant sum. I've seen some before. A staggering amount of money just to take a single photo. That is, if they could even manage to find a photographer who'd take the risk and help take the picture. I'm not so crass as to put a price on sentiment and nostalgia, but spending this much money on film rolls, what could have made this investment worth it? I'd say, maybe this isn't just a matter of sentiment or memories even. Leafing through the photographs, I quietly expressed my thoughts. Executive manager, I'm not exactly an authority on distortion, but I know they manifest through the desires or emotions that become warped in bizarre ways. But everything the distortion has shown us so far points back to S-Corp. That is, the S-Corp from the past that only Kim and Ongyu would have seen and remembered. These photos, though, they're completely untouched by the distortion. Doesn't that feel off? There must be a strong fixation at play here, strong enough to slip past even the distortion. And if that obsession is something that refuses to let these memories be influenced, I think our next step should be to look for the people in these photos. These photographs are the only undistorted, unaltered clues we have. Dante says it would be advisable to locate the people shown in these photographs. Oh, good idea. Team leader did say that we should accept input from the LCB with open arms. Hey, Ongdu, could you get me the office catalog? We probably need to commission an office affiliated with 7 Association. Let's look for one that can take the request right away. Can someone tell Ezra we're fine? I think I know where to find those people. Dante says one of the people shown in the photos has already been found. What? When? How? Well, guess I'm just having a lucky day. I pulled the radio from my waist and switched it on without answering Ezra's question. DWRC. I think she said Dewey Regroup Clock. That one was especially hard to understand, Ryoshu. Heh. I love Ryoshu. Rodia's with you, right? Can you put her on? Okay. Rodia, you there? What? Dante wants to talk? One sec. I kinda went overboard with the bread and pastries. My hands are completely full over here. Pastries? What kind? Just one of everything. Neat, can you grab extra brioche and baguettes for me too? Love the ones from that street. They're so good. Hold on, I gotta readjust the pile if I wanna just throw them on TF. They're packaged. Ryoshi, you can't treat food like that, okay? Bakers have feelings too, you know. How do you think the baker would feel if they knew somebody was treating their precious babies like trash? This scabbard is rattling again for no reason. Anyways, Dante, can you give me a sec if you need me to fight? I just need to cram these into my pockets real quick. No, it's not a fight. Huh? Then what's this about? I took a closer look at the words written on the wicker basket in the first photograph Marcel had brought me. Where's the bakery you're at? I know who you're looking for. The owner of the bakery was a woman holding the same wicker basket as the one in the photograph. She took one glance at the picture I held up for her and gave a quick nod. This man, he works in Cannery 17 right next. He's a regular. Bread queen. That's a funny apron. He used to drop by every morning to buy sandwiches to share with his co-workers. Haven't seen him around lately though. And those co-workers, I assume they were wearing the same uniform. Asking the question on my behalf, Otis showed the baker another photograph. Probably, he was always wearing one too. I guess it's the cannery uniform. This confirms our lead executive manager. A few inquiries at the cannery should bring us the information we need. Yeah, you're right, but it's just that she doesn't seem very concerned at all. She's one of the people in the photos that weren't affected by the distortion, right? Thought she'd be a close acquaintance. Allow me to verify, executive manager. You know the name of this regular you spoke of. His name? Am I supposed to know that? Though I wasn't expecting her to actually know his name, the apathy evident in her voice gave me pause. Well, look, just life in the city, and especially Angthorpe, from the looks of things. You took a photo of you. Wouldn't it be reasonable to assume that you're well acquainted with him? Oh, that. Oh, she looks like she's about to freak out. The baker's demeanor changed when Otis pressed the point. She gave a strange, unsettling smile before pulling something from her apron pocket. A thin and round can-like object. He said he'd give me 5 of these canned experiences for free if I let him take my picture. Even said he'd throw in the docograph of the building of my choice. He docographs buildings, right? I hear he even takes work trips to the nest every now and then. So I asked him to get me a docograph of this lovely mansion I saw by the nest suburbs. I know I'll never get to afford a beautiful place like that, but this way I could at least experience what it's like, and gosh, it was everything I'd ever hoped for. People are kind of freaking out. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but there's a distinct eeriness to that dreamy, blissful smile on the baker's face that sent a chill down my spine. Young Mersal, are these canned experiences truly possessed of such marvels, to pluck all semblance of reason from one's countenance? They maintain high demand across the city. District 14 is only one of several markets. Dost thou mean that those who indulge in canned experiences may experience venturing on an expedition to the Great Lake and bungee jumping off the summit of that skyscraper yonder as they remain seated where they are? They may, however. Whoa, a magic can allowing one to pursue any dream the heart may conceive. Verily, I confess, my own soul is much tempted. It differs from pursuing a dream. Oh, Mersal is a hater of canned experience. Mass-produced canned experiences are made from base experience matter mixed with various modified information. The resulting end product enables intense stimulation through altered memory. Therefore, it is unlike the dream as expressed by Don Quixote. A piece of memory refined along the numerous processing stages of the cannery's production lines is not equivalent to genuine experience, meaning the usage of experience in her previous statements must also be amended. Memory is altered for intense simulation. That does sound quite shady. How doth this cast a shade upon the boons granted by the can? Adventure entails, forsooth, inclined towards a little grandeur. It is because the memories provided by canned experiences are extremely vivid. Statistics have shown that users of cans interpret them as authentic experiences and become dependent on them. A possible cause of the formation of dependence patterns is that canned experiences allow one to feel as if one has achieved a dream that is a reality impossible. Aren't thou implying that the users are made content by devouring forged dreams stored in instant-use cans? Worse still, the user may no longer strive to chase dreams in the waking world. For the sweeter and more splendidly a dream is embellished, the more impossible it will appear to be grasped with one's own hands. Become a cause for surrender instead of inciting one to march forth. Verily, doth it not annul the significance of dreaming itself? If the resultant dream rouses not the spirit to gallop towards it? Whether that annuls its significance, I cannot know. But they sell well. So, how much will you be buying? By what? You came barging in with all these questions, and I was patient enough to answer them politely, wasn't I? Don't you think you owe me a sale or two? You're not about to leave me without buying a single loaf after crowding up my bakery and scaring off my customers, are you? Her case was on point, actually, with our whole group gathered around. The passerby gave us a wide berth and hurried on. whispering among themselves. Nobody was about to come in and buy bread like that. Come on, lady, I practically cleared your shelf already, didn't I? You did? Where the hell are you keeping all that then? You even gotta ask? Of course, I had some already, and the rest is safely tucked in my coat pockets, so we can all share later. Bro, yeah, how do you do this? Do you have like a little pocket dimension in there? So you already ate some. Let's buy a little more. It's true we scared off the other customers. Understood. Given the expenses made to facilitate this operation, the lack of prior budgeting should not pose a problem. Oh, nice! Sesame rice bun for me, please. Kim just teleports behind us. It was Kim. He really did have a knack for making an entrance at the least expected moments. Hey, mister, where have you been this whole time? Wait. Be cross with me all you like, but just give me a moment. Ezra paused, waiting in puzzled anticipation, only for Kim to take a sesame rice bun from the baker's hand and chomp into it. Alright, I'm ready. Frickin' waste of bread. Oh, you could see this the second his soul left his body. Ezra's angry fist drove straight into Kim's solar plexus, folding him to the ground like a crumpled sack of potatoes as he rolled away. At this rate, the owner might start charging us for the whole bakery next, roof and all. Best get away from here. Manager. Marcel approached me as we walked down the street, with Ezra and Kim still squabbling behind us. He was holding a roll of something brown and tightly coiled. I've completed development of the film per your instruction. Oh, so this is a film in that canister you were shaking. Do I just unroll it? Hold it up against the sun or other sources of light, as it is a reversal film. The images should be visible as they were photographed. I had no idea what a reversal film meant, but I did as he said and unrolled the film. Okay, I can see it. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, is it showing? Can I see too? Move it over a bit. Let me have a look too. It was hard to make out the details because the images were too small, but I could still tell the strip was packed with almost identical pictures. Is this the same person in every shot? In the same pose in all of them? Huh, you're right. No, wait a second. It's for film. For filming. See the arm here? The further along the strip you go, the lower it gets. Yeah, the head looks like it's turning to the right. Huh? We were all squinting up at the tiny frames on the film when Sinclair suddenly flinched and went stiff like he'd seen something he shouldn't have. A second later, all color drained from his face. Sinclair, what's the matter? This reminds me of something I learned in school. You draw a picture in the corner of a stack of notes or a thick book in the exact same spot on every page. You start with the arms down and then you make one small chain on each page, nudge the arms up higher and higher until they're raised all the way up. And when you flip the pages fast enough, the drawings stop looking like separate images, the still figure starts moving. That class was called Introduction to Motion Pictures. I remember the teacher saying that video footage we watched were all made the same way. Oh shoot. Got a little... It looks like there's a taboo going on here. Are you saying that this is... It's a continuous sequence of still images. The arrangement of the frame suggests that this film strip is likely a constitute footage, a violation of N-Corp's taboo. Oh crap. As soon as I registered Marcel's words, my hand reflexively threw the film to the ground. Are we going to be okay? We might have just broken a taboo. My mind began to race, rapidly traveling back through our journey, specifically to the time when Don Quixote had smashed that window at K-Corp and caused the wing to wipe out our team multiple times over. I felt faint. At least we had Virgilius with us then, and it ended up being not that big of a deal at the end of the day since I could revive the sinners, but... Some nest taboos can get us in serious trouble just for carrying anything that has to do with them, can't they? I hurriedly turned towards the sinners, many of whom looked like every bit as troubled as I felt. Still, a few of them expressed a casual lack of concern, citing all the crazy things we've gone through so far. Miss Faust, what'll happen if this gets the manager killed? Okay, so this is it, huh? Stop freaking out, guys. They're not dying, and we'll be fine. N-Corp's not gonna kill you on the spot just for possessing a film roll. Really? Well, it might be a problem if the film roll does contain genuine recorded footage, but it's not like you guys had a hand in filming it, right? When N-Corp dudes get here to pick it up, just comply with their commands, thank them for their service, and nicely hand it over to the authority, and everything should be A-okay. There is a possibility that everything will not be okay. Because I have developed the contents of that film roll in that dark room. Oh. The court will take the lack of intentionality into consideration. However, it is very likely that my action will be as aiding the primary violator of the taboo. Really? But team leader said that N-Corp has their own regulatory standards regarding image quality, which is they determine the severity of the taboo violation. If the footage image quality or frame rate is within regulations, N-Corp won't be sicking their fixers on our butts right away. And that could buy us some time to give our company some leverage to make a deal, however small it might be. Because what they're really sniffing around it for is how close to reality the video is, or how close an experience it provides to real life. So even if we're really, really unlucky, they actually come after us, it's going to be fine as long as the footage is low fidelity, probably. Marcel's not convinced. So what exactly does frame rate within regulations entail? Oh, it means the interval between each frame shouldn't be, like, super brief. Think about photo slideshows. They only show you one image every few seconds, so it doesn't feel real or vivid, right? You can technically call them motion pictures, but there is no vividness required to violate their taboo. Then let's analyze this film roll and see how vivid it really is. Marcel, I trust you are knowledgeable in subjects concerning N-Corp. Yes? Cooperate. Could this film roll be considered a violation of the taboo? I just picked up the film roll from the ground and showed it to Marcel. That cannot be determined, unless each frame is thoroughly analyzed and compared with adjacent. Without waiting for Marcel to finish, Otis unrolled the film roll and raised it against the sky. The rest of you, get over here. We must analyze these frames. The film cancer was labeled experiment, so I assumed the culprit had created this as a test run of sorts. An experiment to see how close they get to violating a taboo and testing the limits of the law. It may even be a mere collection of similar photographs that are pretending to be recorded footage. The sinners all gather around Otis and look up towards the unrolled film in unison. Here, the flower pot moves between its frames, doesn't it? The docugrapher couldn't possibly have moved the pot while also holding down the shutter button. I don't see any difference. See here, the expression risen on the subject's features appears rather stiff. Maybe they're just a gloomy sort? Perhaps, yeah, observe closer. The stiffness arises not from gloom, but from strain to maintain it. Oh, if that's the case, maybe the subject really is trying to fake an actual footage by moving very, very slowly. That's a pretty convincing theory, but I'm not sure it's enough to conclude that we're in the clear just yet. That's when Bamboo-Headed Kim, who had been sprawled on the ground ever since Ezra punched him, stepped into the conversation. Let's see. Look at the shadow cast on the windowsill. See how it notably shifts between each frame? Whoever made this knows their craft for sure. I can't imagine a backstreet dweller would have any way to mess with the sun's trajectory. Then the likely scenario must be that the creator of this film roll deliberately made its subject move very slowly from frame to frame, creating a series of disconnected photos that, when played sequentially, would look like footage that violates the taboo. In which case, this film roll does not violate the Nest taboo, correct? That is highly probable. So he says, Executive Manager, we should be in the clear for now, at least in regards to aiding the violation of a wing's taboo. Phew. But if he was willing to go through this much trouble just to test N-Corp's patience, it's hard to believe that he'd stop here. Based on all available evidence, Executive Manager, it seems reasonable to conclude that the inflection point of this case is a taboo violator on the run. But what motive would they have to do that? Sure, working for a wing subsidiary has nothing on the on being an actual wing employee, but it's still pretty up there when it comes to careers available in the back streets. Work for a subsidiary long enough, you might get transferred to a factory job in a nest. That gives you a pretty okay chance at a better life, so maybe he was just tired of living that kind of life. Everyone has one of those days, don't they? The sudden feeling that you could be doing more than live the rest of your life in 9 to 5 hell. The drive to do something that takes you away from the pressure of trying to make a life. You get 9 to 5s in the city and not like 8 to 8s. Something about what Ishmael said must have tickled Bamboo Hattie Kim, because he suddenly whipped around towards her and shook his head. Maybe, but how many of those people do you think are capable of throwing away everything they've built on a whim? From what I've seen, maybe our culprit just likes to play with fire. Play with fire? Yeah, must have started by doing something that technically doesn't count as a taboo, and inched on and on until he brushed thrillingly close to him. One thrilling shot through this camera, and another with the next. Until eventually he ended up recording actual footage. Cool then, that leaves the question of what the heck was he trying to do with it? Might have been trying to screen it using a projector for all this part of the back streets to see. But wouldn't that make everyone here, even those unwittingly came across the projection? Right on, it had make those folks violators of the taboo. But why would anyone... So, would you care to explain how you know that, Mr. Breadbrain? I asked around on the opposite street, and apparently some guy's been going around asking the workshops if they could make him a projector. Seemed like most of them turned him down, but they also said that he stopped showing up after a certain point. Yes, they got his hands on a projector somehow. Alas, is it not a taboo, an uncorp, to view recorded videos? Pray tell, why would any insane mind? Well, it ain't a taboo if you've only made a projector in it. Backstreet's blokes down for anything long as there is coin. So how do we track this guy down? Multiple individuals in the same garb as the pin frame team have been identified in the vicinity. They are all carrying the same briefcase. Oh, well, isn't that convenient? Maybe we can play this like a festival or a convention and just tail people who look like they're involved with what we're looking for, so they'll lead us to wherever we need to go. Indeed, at architecture conventions, there would be those in formal plaid shirts and suspenders milling about. I could always trust them to lead me to the convention venue. And was it common for those plaid shirt fellas to look like they're scanning the area? Do they also go around checking people against photographs? Oops. They also radio each other, glaring at people like they're glaring at, Perhaps you could answer that series of queries yourself. Nope, this crowd sure don't look like they're gonna let us follow them.
So punch! 이번에도 잘해줬어. 가치 없군. 올.
Hardly a challenge. What a WOT. Well, at least they're not much of a fighter one-on-one. Service Clause is not a combat specialized department. While they have all undergone basic combat training for exigent circumstances, they are not prepared for head-on conflicts such as this. Yeah, I noticed they kept taking pictures of us with their briefcases. I'm guessing that's their primary job description. Or are they snapping away for them, whispering behind our backs like the loaded creeps? Collecting photos to include in the report for their higher-ups, I'd wager. I can kind of see how they think of it. We're involved in this somehow. Even every time they follow the lead, they end up encountering us. It's hardly a surprising rationale. Saul stood a footstep away from the rest of the sinners and watched in silence as they tried to come up with an explanation. What is he thinking? What is it that he wishes to say, or is he simply contemplating, observing without any preconceived notions in his mind? His silence shouldn't have any different been any different from his usual reticence, but as though by some chance or whim. Hey, Marsal. I was struck by the sense of a brief yet distinct strangeness, and was compelled to speak with him. Yes, manager? Don't hesitate to let me know if there's something you want to say, but aren't sure if you want or if you're supposed to say it. Yes, manager. I will do as you ordered should one such circumstance occur. As always, his reply was deflatingly concise and direct, as though he had some rule of his own that told him this was the specific response for situations like these. Okay, but I'm talking about right now, actually. Do you have anything to say right now? No, I do not. It did not appear to me that he was trying to hide anything or choosing his words in response to my question. His reply was simply that. The answer, nothing more. Yes, a prepared answer written down in a list of responses. That's what it felt like to me, as though this particular answer had always been the only one that he had available for situations like this. Clearly prodding him for answers wasn't going to get me anywhere, so... With a curt, sure, if you say so, I turned away from him and took off to join the other sinners. As I did so, a few words lingered at the tick of my proverbial tongue, asking to be let out, so I did. It would have been nice to know what you were looking at. Of that, he spoke. I cannot form a judgment. But that is because the precise definition and nature of the subject of my gaze are just as unknown to me as to you. Should you point to an object in our enemy, I can provide a verbal explanation based on my current knowledge. If you require such information, please rephrase your question accordingly. And I asked him again then. I tried to get to the bottom of that line of questioning. Could I have found myself the smallest peek into Marcel's psyche? Had I remained entirely shrouded in mystery, even after an entire year of traveling together? I suppose that's not up for me to judge as well. Manager? Yeah? Another battle is imminent. As you have previously instructed, I have informed you of an imminent battle. Yo, Boss Clock, are you just gonna sit there all day while we do all the fighting? They're pouring out of that building over there. So they must have been on their way to that building. Our path ahead seems clear, Executive Manager. Let us neutralize those foes and head up there. Gotcha, be right there. The brief lull of battle came to a close, and battling enemies who arrived precisely at the time Russell had predicted, we made our way into the building. Bloody hell, them blokes we fought downstairs must have been the weaker ones of the bunch. How does N-Corp have so many guys on their payroll? There's no end to them. Haha, it is a wing after all. Are these the taboo violators? I thought the culprit worked alone. No, I'm quite certain they're the ones from the subsequent reports. The N-Corp fixers appeared just as confused as we were. It was clear to me that they were expecting to find the taboo violator here, not a big group of a dozen or so people. What were they thinking, sending fodder like us to deal with an organized taboo violation? They should have sent taboo hunters here instead. Why do you think they told us to consume canned experience containing mass melee combat? They must have thought our current manpower would suffice to deal with this. I don't know about that. Wait, wasn't there an extra report that one of them's All of a sudden, with a click, the room began a buzz with the metallic whir of some kind of machinery. And immediately I could tell what it was. Distortion. Sitting in the middle of the shabby room was a device I wasn't sure I had seen before. Its exterior was plastered with strange shapes that looked similar to what we saw on the Chinook-kun's faces in our early herbile, making it difficult to grasp its full shape. It's horrifying. The round object affixed to it began to rotate slowly with the low, worn-out groan of a thing past its prime. Men! Shield your eyes! The moment it began to emit a faint ray of light, Otis thundered in a commanding voice. Gah! I quickly turned away as well, making sure to not catch even a glimpse of it. The device could be playing a recorded video, Executive Manager. Even a brief look could constitute a taboo violation. Shit. I saw that. I'm so finished. Just as panic began creeping into the voices of several unlucky individuals. Oh man, folks, this is starting to get a little embarrassing. A sleepy voice breaks through the darkness past my, metaphorically speaking, shut eyes. Mentor, eyes open on you. What's wrong with everyone? Got dust in your eyes? What the hell's wrong with you? Don't you know that anyone who watches even a split second of recorded video in N-Corp gets? Of course I know, but I watched it anyway. Open your eyes, esteemed fellows. This motion picture isn't recorded. Hang on. He's right, that video is not a recording. Possibly emboldened by Kim's comment, or perhaps believing that seeing the video could be excused as incidental exposure incurred while subduing violators, the N-Corp employees also opened their eyes and began to mutter amongst themselves. Is that thing talking to us? I finally allowed myself a good look at the machine, which was firing a conical beam of light against the side of the wall. And this was its message, delivered via white words on a black background. So you've tracked me down this far. After what I went through to take refuge in here, they still ended up finding this place. All of you blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without even a care about the real thing. Case number TC3224. You are under suspicion of a Category 3 violation. Reveal yourself now and forfeit your illegal recording. Should you comply, we will... What is foolery but witless buffoonery, in the absence of fools? The hollowed vessel bereft of all but lingering delusions grants not even a brew of echo to the dodged exploration of tools. What's this fella on about? If you mean to obstruct our official duties, we won't hesitate to use force. Blank. Without even so much as turning around, Bamboo Headkin raised his sword and parried the N-Corp employee's nail-shaped weapon. I'm only speaking as my whim guides me, my dear fellows. No need to get so huffy. I only aim to say that this abomination has no consciousness. After what I went through to take refuge in here, I still ended up finding this place. Oh, okay, so it's repeating. It's repeating the same sentences over and over. Now, that does make me wonder. Was I just as far gone when I distorted past all words and reason? I mean, if anyone has an answer to that, it'd be you folks, right? Kim said nothing more. He turned a piercing look on us, and while effortlessly swatting away the N-Corp employee's attacks, as though he was goading us into telling him the truth. Well, don't suppose there's any point in asking. I'm no different from this abomination. Just as it wields that contraption, I must have wielded the only thing I really know, the blade, transforming it into a mindless fiend, consumed by a mere tool, leaving through both friend and foe unrestrained. Hey, Junior, are you still on about that? I tried to avert my eyes, I truly did, but such disregard is easier said than done. How can I, when that distorted being has no qualms showing me the... Doesn't he know how rude the unsolicited reflecting of the fathoms of one's heart is? It's got to be illegal or something. Illegal, I say. Turning a customer into a thug on a protection racket run, a mere ant before a car in motion into a swerving driver. Conjuring dead fellows before the eyes of their mentor. Simply unconceivable. Okay. Rude as hell, as some might say. My poor heart almost burst out of my chest, courtesy of you. In that split second, I think I saw Mersal's eyebrows twitch. A battle is imminent, manager. Just as a natural response to sensing an imminent battle, perhaps? A blinding flash followed by an explosive bang. My vision immediately went white and decided to take its damn time coming back. And when it did, the first thing that came into view was a particularly unsettling landscape of escort, followed by Bamboo Hattie Kim surrounded by a small army of Chinokin. Mentor! Keep that up and you'll shout me deaf, Ondu. Isn't it about time we both grew accustomed to such sights? Mentor, still do I wake from these dreams drenched in cold sweat, that they might bind and drag you away. Yeah, this isn't so bad, is it? It's just these folks so far, unlike earlier when... Another flash. What was that? Everything went dark. I don't understand what's happening, but first things first, we have to neutralize everyone here and get our mission back on track. Adjusting projection. Uh-oh. I've been straying far and wandering all day for this exact reason, and so was its mechanism. Oust. The words began to shift rapidly before I had a chance to ask fast what she had meant. To the one who finds comfort settling in lies, I give you what you most deserve your gaze. Oh, dang. Box, I'll be blind before today's over at this rate. It changed. It did. Unlike the earlier instance, one of the distortions is different from the others. As Marisol identified, there was something different about the group of Shinokun this time. They were accompanied by someone else. A warrior in impressive armor wielding a sword that was just as tall. Armor and a great fondo of the Sol Circle. To be reunited in such a manner. The warrior drew a bow that hung from the waistguard and nocked an arrow. I suppose this is how it would have gone down had you been the one to grab me. Military Commissioner Im Yuong up. How do you fare, friend? At the signal, arrows loosening, seize the accused. The warrior loosened the nocked arrow, which soared into the sky with a piercing whistle. I think I said it yet. This music is crazy. I like it. But without the air-splitting sound as their cue, the Chunokun began to swarm us.
도시에선 저런 형태로 사람을 강화하기도 하나 봐.
시비수에게 나왔다. 이 앞에 숨쉬는 자 누구 하나 살려보내지 마라. 모든 것에 견뎠어.
저희에게도 이런 힘을 베풀어 주시다니 마음씨가 넓은 분이실까요? 아, 실수로 주셨더라도 상관없어요. 한 번 베푼 이상 낙장 불입이랍니다.
목을 떨궈주마.
어라? 저쪽에 비틀거리시는 분이 보이네요. 이만 편히 눕혀드릴까요?
그림자 속으로 가라앉게.
너희가 걸어야 할 수라의 길은 여전히 그 끝이 보이지 않을 만큼 멀고 또 멀구나.
일기당천.
아직 죽지 마라.
敵は深手を負っています。
친히 목을 떨궈주마.
너희가 걸어야 할 수라의 길은 여전히 그 끝이 보이지 않는 만큼 멀고 또 멀고.
토끼를 본다.
단테님은 매번 무가란 발상을 떠올리시네요.
흠뻑. 그래도 관리자보단 낫네. 너희는 모르겠지만 처음엔 이것보다 훨씬 끔찍했거든.
하하! 이 수많은 소원들 중 그대가 이루고 싶은 소원은 무엇인가?
아, 여기선 이런 공격이 잘 먹히는군요.
이리 빠! 하!
틈을 끊어.
숨통 끊기. 자세에 틀림은 없군.
이 거리는 충분해. 너한텐 조금 멀겠지만.
매뉴얼을 만들어두길 잘했네. 그렇기만 해. 두려울 거야. 접대가 시작되면 사서들은 다시 살아날 수 있다는 사실을 망각하거든. 그걸 알고 있으면 사서들과 손님들이 느끼는 감정이 달라질 텐데 그건 불공평하잖아.
흑수며 뜀박질춤. 숨통 끊기.
소원들 중 그대가 이루고 싶은 소원은 무엇인가?
뭘 위해
적을
자신만만하게
물어뜯어
달려가더니
너의 쓸모를 보여라.
긴자감이었던 거야?
헤어내리.
이 몸을 온당히 벌하심에 기꺼이 죄를 받아들이나이다.
잠깐만 기다려.
대전
이상이 무엇이라 생각하시오?
지켜주지 못해 미안하다는 말만큼 공허한 말도 없을 거야. 그 말은 결국 지켜내지 못했다는 뜻이거든. 틈을 끊어. 바로.
넘고 선 넘고 무수히 넘고 얼마든지 꺾고 제쳐라.
다들 첫 여정을 시작했을 때보다 정말 강해지셨네요. 매일 보아왔는데도 지금은 감회가 새로워요.
검지막 모드
겹겹의
지루하고.
주문 뚫어보이겠어.
하지만 이런 시시한 전투에도 긴장감을 불어넣어줄 비장의 예술이 하나 있지. 박수갈채는 언제 보낼 생각이지?
초전해 확대
이제 깨우치시게.
일찍 끝나겠구나. 이런 걸 보면 단축의 예술은 끝을 알 수 없던 엄마가 선택한 최선의 방법이었을지도 모르겠어.
일기당천.
이제
검집에서의 승리. 내가 겪어야 했을 기다림도 뭐 짧게 끊어내고 싶었을 테니. 당신 짝패군요. 틈끊어 바로
토끼를 보라. 저 해충들을 도려내라.
진짜 즐거운 시간이야.
어떻게 들어갈 수 좋았는지.
제 행위 그렇다면
상념으로 맑은 하늘 가리고 이 한 몸 바쳐 땅으로 모든 피 쏟아내리리.
피가 아무리 탁해졌다 한들
그 전위적인 헛짓거리는 어디서 배운 거지? 재미다. 믿음을 되새겼다면 어리석은 의무는 품지 말았어야지. 아메스코 보이지도 잡히지도
너의
않겠지만
쓸모를 보여라.
그 사슬로 이어져 있는 한 너희의 시간은 사라지지 않을 테지.
시연합니다.
이 전투는 승리할 거예요.
지금 이쪽이야 1층. 편입을 조장미를 이쪽이야 다시 2층. 하지만 기어지겠어.
기어코 일수 모든 걸 들어모아 삼천대천.
새삼스럽지만 꽤 괜찮네. 제법이야.
앵화
엄마는 무기라면 뭐든 잘 다뤘어. 그중 제일 뛰어난 게 검이었고.
당신 짝패군요.
Okay, second phase. Just had to deal with that stupid shield. I hate those. Just a little more and I think we might be able to smash that dang thing to smithereens, but... Yeah, but it's really hard to focus on one thing with that huge warrior zapping in and out of reality as soon as we make ourselves an opening. It'd make our lives a whole lot easier if we could just get rid of one of them. The battle seemed to be taking a toll on the sinners, more so than usual. It wasn't that we were up against an insurmountable foe, not even close, not to mention how Ezra and Ongdu were here to help us out. But, shit, haven't they had enough? About time they gave up, isn't it? Wait, don't you go legging it again. That big sword-carrying fella sure is kicking our butts, but I don't know if they're the key to solving this distortion. We ain't exactly flush with options, are we? Our exit's blocked, and it ain't like we can stop mid-fight to strategize. With the battlefield constantly shifting and clashing between N Corp and S Corp, we simply did not have the breathing room to focus on either of the projector or Im Gyuan Op, who was swinging that great blade with frightening force. Besides... Oh, looks like he's struggling. Ongdu, go cover his back too. It shall be done. N-Corp was sending far too many people against us. There weren't that many at first, but it seemed that the sudden spike in employee casualties in an area so close to the nest had alerted N-Corp to our location. How do we get out of this? Faust, Otis, help me out here? I decided to stop racking my brain trying to navigate a situation I know so little about, and instead rely on the sinners with possibly more experience in the field. First, I need to know if there's any way we can deal with the endless reinforcements N-Corp is sending after us. And second, will defeating Im Gyuan Op or destroying that projector bring an end to this distortion phenomenon? If I may speak freely, Executive Manager, it is unlikely that our present force will be sufficient to overcome the current rate of enemy reinforcements. Not only is this battlefield situated in close proximity to the enemy stronghold, there is an unpredictable variable in that strange machine that makes neutralizing even a single wave of enemies difficult. I regret to be the bearer of bad news, but we are trapped in a battlefield with but a single exit, which the enemies have already blocked. Without reinforcements of our own, there's little hope of prevailing through this current predicament. Yeah, it seems that way to me too. But maybe if we can neutralize the distortion phenomenon at the very least. Faust recommends entering the Dungeon of the Fathoms as our exit. Dungeon of the Fathoms? But how can I enter it if we can't even talk to the distortion? Wait, maybe. During the LCB regular checkup back at the LCE, he says all you have to do is read what's on the note in front of his distortion apparently. It's some kind of code. Right, keywords. This one seems to be a location type distortion, which means that regardless of where the bright flashes takes us, N-Corp or the twisted character of S-Corp, we're still within its range. In other words, as long as I have the right keywords, I can summon an entrance to its Dungeon of the Fathoms from anywhere within it. Okay, so what are the keywords for this distortion then? Hohenheim had provided us the necessary keywords for his distortion back then, but this time we had to figure it out on our own. Dang, I haven't even thought about this. I forgot that was a thing. First things first, one of them has to be photographed. It's obviously been present throughout the entire phenomenon. If I may, perhaps experience may be one of them. Yi Sang put his 2 cents in, having briefly retreated from the battle to the back lines. There is an undercurrent of obsession with experiences staining his every trail, and must have aught in relation to what has caused his distortion. Experience, the concept alone lacks substance. It must be something more grounded, something that is once synonymous with experience, while maintaining a through line to N-Corp's technology. That was the core of his obsession. Canned experience? Most likely, thanks Faust. Alright then, photograph, canned experience. Not seems to transpire as of yet. It didn't, but I could feel it. Heck yeah. Are these the kind of photographs they used to make canned experience? So that's what the strange sensation was. Mentioning that word shook the distortion and caused that rippling effect. But it was clearly not enough to force open the dungeon of the fathoms. How many other keywords could there be? Scraps. Sorry? Oh, I thought we were talking about turns sharing what might have caused him to distort. And going by the way you folks are saying your piece one after another, I thought this was to be some sort of a Zen riddle. Not a Zen riddle, no. Where'd scraps come from? See, when enjoying the benefits of slacking off at work, all kinds of mundanities come to possess far more interesting qualities, sometimes even revealing secrets invisible to eyes focused elsewhere. Take our person of interest, to wit. He has been poking around this area of town with an eye-wateringly expensive camera in tow, so conspicuously that every store owner I lightly prodded for information had tales to tell about him. Each tale added another facet to the long saga of a once-driven man, a man with a can-do attitude, an uncanny ability to pull himself up by his own bootstraps, and a clear path towards Nest residence, who became so bewitched by photography that he eventually squandered his fortune on what was, in the end, nothing more than a pastime. That went on until he found himself reduced to a pauper barely making rent on a scrap heap of an apartment. In pursuit of his ideality, the man has lost grip of fortune and reality. I sought out his apartment and found a few scraps of his writing. When cold rain drips through the roof, when mold and tepid humidity together encroach from the earth, the mind begins to wander, lost. Eventually, madness is invoked in a form indistinguishable from drunkenness. The pauper loses himself. A shadow darker than any I had seen on Kim's face crept beneath the shades of his eyes. You relating there, buddy? No, I had seen that look once, in the past. Though it may be more accurate to say that I heard it in his voice that echoed in his fathoms, distorted by guilt and regret. Perhaps I shouldn't be surprised by the fact that this distortion has, among the countless people here, taken a particular interest in bamboo-hatted Kim. Photograph, canned experience, and scraps. Oh dang, that did the trick. Like inserting a final piece of the puzzle, the space before us momentarily warped and flashed, opening a pathway to the distortion's fathoms. Well then, we'll be right behind you, Executive Manager. Miss Ezra, this is what I had seen. That the gateway to one's fathoms. This is it, huh? Neat stuff. But before she could finish, Ezra had to redirect her focus from our discussion back to the battle. Most of the sinners were caught in the same predicament. Some had managed to disengage from the battle and prepare to enter the dungeon of the Fathoms, but Hong Lu, Gregor, and several others were still busy holding off the N-Corp employees. They're gonna follow us right in there if we run now, right? Haha, probably. Even those who aren't chained to Dante like we are can travel through the pathway once it's open, so... yeah, let's not drive ourselves into an even narrower corner. I'll keep them at bay. Hearing that, Bamboo Headkin stepped up. My sword arm's not what it once was, but it should be enough for this. Besides, I've little wish to set foot in some ill-omened place to be tangled in such a bizarre mess. Is that really what he thinks? There was something in his eyes that led me to believe this was about more than just staying behind to protect our rear. He was... WTF. Thanks, Ryoshu. Your input is always welcome. What a terrible front. At least try to pretend to be sincere and make it easy for us to believe you. Did you think that terrible excuse was going to fly? Or are you trying to avoid Sword Swinger? You're not some kid trying to get out of doing his homework. I remember hearing that entering a dungeon of the fathoms will bring one to the spiritual fathoms the distortion is gazing into. Then what lies within must be my very own, for that is what the abomination is gazing into. It's decided then, you're coming with us. We ain't about to walk in blind to a place we know shit about, mate. Guide us in there, yeah? Oh, that's... He keeps it simple. You try that too. Learned the hard way that homework like summer reading doesn't go away just because you don't look at it. It's still there, even as the summer break comes to an end, ruining the last day of your vacation into an all-nighter. That's what I did in high school. And they got the worst books ever. I hated them so much. They're so boring. Araya Shiki's scabbard vibrated cheerfully in agreement. Stop procrastinating. Go do your summer reading. What was it you said? Face the homework, save the GPA. Face the sin, save the ego. That's funny. It is, after all, the attitude the company expects of its employees. Go, Junior. You guys too, LCB. I can handle them all on my own. You'll make a lone stand? Hey, who the heck do you think I am? Hey, I'll show you why Team Leader Moses felt safe sending me out alone with you guys. This was basically a Monster of the Week situation for Team Leader and me back in our duo days. I can handle them on my own, no problem. I wanted to see how you guys handled the inflection point, but I guess you can never really have it all. Oh well, guess I'll have to trust our two OSIR team newbies to handle that. Now that I think about it, I think I'm setting a pretty solid example as your team senior, aren't I? Hehe. I don't like this, but it seems I have no choice in the matter as long as this employee card hangs from my chest. With a sigh, Kim shook his head and joined us, dragging his feet all the while. I shall take the vanguard. Ah, Mentor, be warned that the entrance is floating. Take a tall step over or you may trip. I can clearly see that, Hongdu. Bring me a ladder if you're really that worried, why don't you? Have you need of one? She'll actually do it. I have a feeling. Mere jest, you needn't worry.
이번에도 잘해줬어. 유익한 책이 또 하나 늘었네.
If that's how everyone's been living, then my life, my photographs too. So this is S-Corp 2, right? Probably a wonky looking version of it. It is reminiscent of my homeland, but the sights are much too hideous compared to what rests in my memories. Hideous was apt. When we emerged from the entrance of the dungeon into S-Corp streets, what greeted us was a distorted and eerie scenery. I wouldn't be surprised to find it in an S-Corp themed haunted mansion. 'Tis a place hardly fit for human habitation, far more dilapidated than once expected. Thou sayest that people inhabit these lands, for truth? Really? I think it has a cool vibe. Vibe's my foot. I don't think I'll be able to get a wink of sleep here. The lives of the downtrodden were beset by 1,000 woes and tenfold more struggles, and the streets they inhabit reflect that reality. Many times I had contemplating in consternation how the folks here had even the will to live on. The shadow that had begun to haunt Kim's face still lingered there as he looked around. If the distortion reveals the fathoms of those it gazes into, as Kim had said, perhaps this is how S-Corp is reflected in Kim's eyes. On days when the skies were spotless blue and without orders from the counselor, I would scale to the roof of the choga and feel it rustle beneath my back as I lay upon it. I thought it to be a respite solely mine, yet in this mirrored world, another has walked here before my arrival. I joined him in looking up at that thatched roof of the choga. Beneath it, a wicked tunnel have I passed, and now I witness myself before the one who shall strike the head from my torso. There was a figure standing tall next to the building, staring defiantly up towards the man on the straw roof. Im Guan. Are you home? Are you home, I asked. What a strange visitor I have. Hey, that's a very flashy outfit. Why not call at the front gate if you've come seeking the master of the house? Be not like a dog barking up the wrong tree. It's unbecoming. A dog, really now? I can see you up there lounging on the roof. I'm not going to speak to the door like I'm blind. Has a spell of some sort befallen the day? To have such an odd occurrence transpire twice successive, the work of a bewitching spirit, I say. What's so bewitching about checking in on someone? Isn't it odd that a high and noble military commissioner of our esteemed corporation would come in person simply to check in on how a lowly mercenary fares? You know me? She certainly knows her jest. She marches forth vested war-strider armor. She expects no violence. She wields a two-handed great blade like a demonic yaksha, yet harbors no hostile intent. Why, who else might she be but Military Commissioner Yong-Ok, the principal of the famed Im family? You are certainly in the habit of speaking in hyperbole. I am not so noble that I deserve to be complimented with the epithet so grand as the principal. Aha, not to compliment. You see, Commissioner, this is a rhetorical technique known as backhanded compliment, in which I damn you with praise, for you are so bound by your precious principles that you would rather be unreasonable than betray them. Does an office-rank second ordinate have no wit to engage in such banter? Dang. Why, am I out of line, as they say? He's testing himself. You two are friends, right? That was our first meeting, so no, not at that precise moment. I know I'm just saying that if I were her, I wouldn't even let myself become friends with you after such a bad first impression. Can't imagine becoming friends with somebody who keeps pushing my buttons. And maybe, but people do find friendship in such personalities, even have a taste for prickliness. You've got a friend in us, don't you? Looks like it. Fine, you have a point. I guess I do have a habit of pushing people's buttons, too. But still, I hope you're not seriously comparing the way I talk to his sassy, gotcha-digging, pun-riddled, continues the insults. Well, the world we live in is a vast and diverse one. Consider yourself lucky that you're surrounded by so many quirky characters. It's because of that same luck that she took the joke well, rather than respond by trying to cut off my head. You are out of line, yes, but I knew you would be, so I won't take issue with it. Though I must admit, the rumors of your sharp tongue do you no justice. The streets speak of a man they call Kim Lib, a man who once had intended to pursue the path of the brush, only to realize the sins of his forefathers and exiled himself to the back streets. Yet with the sheer power of will, gritted teeth, and scarred heart, did he find the path of the sword another way into the nest, as the right state council's sworn guard at that. That's you, isn't it? All those superlatives, yet the reality is that I've merely found the path of man-butchery as a viable way of life. Direct any compliments you have towards the right state counselor, if you will. I'm but a butchering blade that happened to fall into the right hands. Not a compliment. Just the word on the street. You're a quick learner. And spare me the fancy reading of my name. Watching you pretend that pompous posturing comes naturally is painful enough already. Keep it simple and spell it out as Bamboo-Hatted Kim, thank you. And he does continue to veer away from the line. I'd rather be a corpse cold and dead than stay in line. Have a shred of mercy on me, oh mighty one. If I'd come all this way just to punish you for every little misdeed and ill manners, I would have laid you out and split you into 3 ways before this riveting dialogue brought us this far. So feel safe to continue trapezing outside the line, but in return, would you answer a few of my questions? I've been watching you from a distance for a while now, and really stalking someone's not very principled of you. I have a feeling it was gonna cut in on that one. Just a feeling. You sure she didn't give you a good wallop after that? No, truly a mystery, isn't it? Besides, she did give me free rein to continue trapezing outside the line. I couldn't, in good conscience, turn down such offers of kindness. Not that I ever do. You sure have a way with words. A way of finding your way under the listener's skin, huh? Perhaps, yet are such japes not to be expected among fellowships of close mutual bond? They don't look like friends yet, though. Ishmael does have a point. So, care to tell us why she's been watching you? I was engaged in the age-old pastime of throwing rocks. Oh my gosh. I guess he managed to whack somebody with a rock. Oh, you speak of the game, Sukjian. Save them for the festivities of Dano. I was throwing rocks at passers-by. That's funny. Hi, Henri. That is a wrong deed, good sir. I suppose it is. People of Pio and Saul in particular found it to be distasteful, and they did not let their discontent be hidden. But the P and the downtrodden cheered me on to a degree. They found it cathartic. Oh, curious. Then is it a right deed or a deed not right? Okay. Yo, Saul, whatever is it that thou art describing? It is a well-known truth that S-Corp is also known by its other name. Oh my god. Sal Yo Egg Run Industry, whatever. I can't do it. I don't know how to pronounce things in different languages. A wing specializing in the general agriculture and livestock industry of the city. The vastness and the depths of its responsibilities have necessitated such divisions of labor. Thus, District 19 is split into 3 court circles responsible for different aspects of the industry. Sal, P, and Pio, each meaning flesh, blood, and bone, respectively. Sal, responsible for the cultivation of rice and other grains. Pio, responsible for meat and livestock. And P, in charge of technological aspects of both. As a scientist and a researcher who once toiled at S-Corp, you must have felt the persecution the P faced firsthand. It is believed that the Trinity was designed for balance, that they would provide assistance when requested and keep one another in check when needed. It was once a promise of cultivating a fair and sustainable S-Corp. Alas, the noble intentions of yesteryear now lie sullied, the Trinity now degraded into 3 quarreling bands of profiteers blinded by avarice, relying not on honor but betrayal and perfidy to claim the top of the triangle. An adherent of the flesh claims the position of the chief estate councillor and monopolizes rice as the common folk starve. An adherent of the bone, once a right state councillor, podies to Saul and rises to the seat of left state councillor. When such shameless conspiracy permits not the common folk to even till the land as they please, anguished cries of suffering flood the streets. Thus the common folk are reduced to livestock, bleeding out, hanging from a hook, while bone and flesh collude like to that of the emaciated dead. Dang, this is a lot of metaphors. Who shall claim the severance of flesh and bone and force them both to yield? An oft-heard poem when walking the streets of S-Corp. Then the people whom thou have targeted with thy rocks were... They weren't people. Rats. Rats. Oh yes, the counselor finds rats detestable. Much better to stop them from a distance if you want to crush them. By any chance do these rats have a habit of sneaking into the royal courts to better pilfer what the common folk rightfully deserve? They certainly suffer from a severe case of kleptomania. So you purposefully threw a rock at his feet to trip him to the ground, knowing that he was a kleptocrat? Well, I simply could not help but react as such in the presence of scurrying rats. Is there aught you find funny? Speak if you do. I could use a good laugh about now. Just heartily expressing my gratitude, that is all. Those who corruption is revealed ought readily receive their scarlet orabond. The gall to scamper away with their expensive prosthetics. My men were having some trouble apprehending them until now. Well, if that is your intent, you are invited to leave a token of gratitude somewhere in the vicinity. Perhaps I'll happen to pick it up. Wouldn't want to get thrown into the dungeons teeming with real vermin. Oh, I was going to do just that. So when it'll stop being a sword and be a human again? What? When do you clock out? The way I see it, you're not the kind of person who'll ever let a drop of liquor get to his tongue while on duty for the right state counselor. Return to this choga when you are human again. I'll buy you a drink as thanks. Oh, I believe it's a girl. Very cute. Ha, she's a funny one. Mentor. Then this fellow you had often mentioned fondly was. Correct, haven't I mentioned her a few times as a drinking fellow I had left behind in escort? I must say, I found myself that relationship most intriguing, that a military commissioner of the Sal faction would fraternize with a bodyguard of the Right State Councilor who was of the P faction. Still, I knew not that the fellow was none other than a military commissioner of Escort. Hongdu's eyes had gone wide in shock, her voice rising unconsciously. It is news to me that you had had ties to a second ordinate official, a military officer with command over high-ranking employees of the wing at that. Well, I was in service of the Right State Councilor, who's a first ordinate, you know. Well, that might be true yet. It doesn't sound impressive when you talk about it. Sorry, Kim. Yet you would like to know why I, with such a powerful friend by my side, have ended up in exile from S-Corp. Yes, your silence over matters of such great import is why I have come to introduce you to others as a reticent one mentor. We had made the Blade lineage our home, for S-Corp availed no home for us but the lineage. But you, mentor, I would rather show than tell. Let us proceed, shall we? This enchanted place seems intent on unearthing all of my past, both savory and unsavory. All shall be revealed in due time. Kim looked around, a twinge of loneliness in his eyes, before moving on. We followed without a word. Oh dang, I didn't even know Kim was here. I wasn't paying attention at all. No, it can't be. My life is the experiences, the memories I had recorded are different. Alas. Kim came to a stop with a grim look on his face. Again, I am returned to this day. His voice had dropped to the same morose pitch we had heard before. Mentor, I have been here before. Have you? Had a peek into my memories when I had distorted, did you? I must say, it's a bit embarrassing to have my deepest and darkest secrets revealed like that. Kim grinned sheepishly, as though to clear the air, but it was becoming rather clear to me that what he was doing. That his flippant demeanor was seemingly devil-may-care attitude, but were but a mask to hide the true darkness in his heart. Then this must be, indeed, the Right State Councilor's estate. Someone who I'd once protected, thought was worth protecting. Kim pushed open the main gates and made his way into the front yard. Watch out, Hongdu. Take a tall step over or you might trip. Oh my gosh, putting that back on. Like, reversed it. There was bodies splayed about the yard, and I couldn't dare start counting them. Oh, that guy is super dead. Felt faint watching the aftermath of the carnage. Some were decapitated, some had their torsos split diagonally, and some were so mangled that I could hardly even tell which parts belonged to who. Are they not retainers of the royal court? What were they doing in the councilors? No, were they killed by assassins? Assassins did infiltrate the estate, yes. You're looking at what remains of them. So these are the assassins? Though I had but a moment to glimpse it, I clearly remembered what the S-Corp logo I saw in Kim's Fathoms looked like. The hats these corpses are, or were wearing, are adorned with the same logo. So why is Bamboo-Headed Kim calling them assassins? Assassins for him? In this corrupt land, the Right State Councilor's life is always as precarious as a candlelight in a tempest. Such is the fate of all who have the guts to speak the truth in S-Corp, where positions of influence are hoarded by corrupt sycophants whose chokehold on power is ironclad. The most prominent among them, the left state councilor, the chief of state councilor's blessing, sought to wield his own private army to silence forever the tongues of those who would advocate against the corrupt. Private army, but they are prohibited in our homeland. So they're kind of like how the great houses of H-Corp each had their own armies. This is similar to what is happening, but not exactly. If S-Corp's circumstances were to be explained in plainer terms, it would be akin to a situation in which a company whose employees outwardly appear to be all working for the same side is in fact fractured within, within certain departments pledging allegiance to a different individual than the chief executive. What assassins there had been in the past at least wore masks to hide their allegiance. I had thought this no different, though with assassins significantly less invested in maintaining their disguises. Not realizing that I had just placed my stone inside the tiger's maw. Looking around at the yard teeming with the assassins, I recall thinking how odd just how many of them they had sent. Though the left state councilor's power had grown to loom over that of the king, I should have realized how ridiculous such a brazen attempt on the life of one of the triumvirate councilors at the royal court would have been. Foolish. I have failed you, counselor. There were simply too many of them, as though they had decided that tonight was the night they would finally slay the counselor or die trying. I was soon overwhelmed, and some of them eventually managed to get around me and reach the counselor's bedchamber. The moment I heard them breach the door, all strength left me, and I fell to my knees. I, Kim Lib, a poor excuse of a bodyguard, and I have failed you. And I knew who the author of the foul scheme was, the left state counselor. Let this be my final act of loyalty ere I depart this life. Though I am too meager a person to carry on your will, counselor, what I can do is plant the seeds of terror in the hearts of the unjust, if only to shackle their blackest hearts from committing greater misdeeds. I shall go before the villain who contrived this betrayal and see that the favor is repaid with steel. Only by such vengeance shall the counselor at last close his eyes in his grave. Or so I had thought. What? Greetings, our bodyguard, the right counselor. I see that you've been hard at work. Accursed parasite, I ought to flay you alive and reveal the wretched soul underneath. Some gall you have to show your face here. Oh, here you mean the home of the honorable right state counselor who toils day and night in service of the royal court? I know the assassins were sent by the left state counselor. Get out of my way. I shall collect your head once my task here is over. Alas, alas, this unsightly display of anger shames us all. Are all those who live by the sword as uncouth as you? The cruelty of your damning words is an impression upon decent men like myself. Let's see how long you can. Feed me, soldiers. Arrest that mad butcher. What? The accursed shall heed his crimes. 1 moon ago, an anonymous letter threatening to take the life of the Reverend Right State Counselor arrived at the royal court. This audacious, contemptuous effrontery is an affront not only to the royal court, but to the heavens and men alike. The revered left state counselor, who has long been in disagreement with the right state counselor on matters of the state, found this offense to be so heinous that he has personally commanded his men to protect his political enemy on the day writ on the letter. Huh? Yes, tragedy has struck. All those lives sent to protect the noble counselor are slain. The bravery and justice of their honorable hearts trampled upon the ground by this villain. Okay, so typical, framing. And now the villain promises death to yet another pillar of the royal court. Thus we are perforce to arrest the criminal and restore the rule of law. You spout senseless drivel. I saw your men make their way into the counselor's bedchamber with their blades drawn. The counselor, might you be looking for the right state counselor here, alive and well? My lord? The vile wretch leaned down next to my ear and whispered, Perhaps you should have known where not to stick your nose. Did you really think you could overcome the entire private army in the left state counselor's service? He sent so many of his men to their deaths, just to lure me into a trap? Why? Now, don't take this as a compliment, as you're not even the apex blade of the homeland, nor are you the Ungjiang, but you have been a rather egregious obstacle to the execution of my plan. Couldn't get through with the first thing in my plan, with you constantly getting in my way. Let's keep you nicely locked up and out of trouble. This can't be. For what it's worth, young man, I am sorry. And I've come to realize the error of my ways. The truth is, though S-Corp is indeed a pond of turbid water, it was those like us who had stirred the dirt from its bed and turned it cloudy. Fearing the worst, we arrived to protect the revered right state counselor. 1,000 curses upon the villain in his quest for the right state counselor's life. The butcherous man has already watered the ground with S-Corp's laborers, the very lifeblood that runs in the veins of this most serene wing. We gotta beat this man. And that charcoal-hearted villain is none other than Counselor Sworn Guard Kimlib. He does, O villain. Obey. And let the aura bonds take you. You've fallen far, my friend. You who were once considered a candidate to honor of the Ungyong. And with the brand of Anobi sapping your strength, even your mastery with the blade will only dull. Are you to be my executioner, Gyeong? I hadn't received the orders to behead you, if that's what you're asking. Nor would it befit someone of my station to sully my hands with an executioner's duty. How will you live on now? I don't know. The counselor has abandoned me. There is no path forward. I'm not even gonna try. It's more corrupt than I had thought. Rotten to the core. This is where the game ends. Time to resign my stone. Indeed it is. What? Are you freeing me? Once a game has been lost, you start anew and test other gambits in the next round. Why don't you stop playing this unfair game where the opponent always starts with stones placed on all 9 star points on the board? And find a place where you can begin anew in equal standing. As soon as they realize it was you who freed me, they'll come after you. It's okay. Unlike somebody who made a fool of himself and fled after passing the royal examinations, I have the royal court's backing as military commissioner. My position in the court isn't so fickle that they would cast me down right away just because I let go of someone like you. You're a branded criminal. In the eyes of the royal court, you're as good as inconsequential. I'll report that even if you were to flee, you'd still be nothing more than a plaything in the palm of their hands. I didn't think you were the kind to go against your honorable principles. Some things can't be undone without bending a rule or two. And you are needed. S-Corp's future is in need of those who are less bound by expectations, like yourself. Besides, it's not the rules I stand by, it's my own principles. I did say I owe you a token of gratitude, didn't I? Consider this a settlement of that. Gratitude and vengeance, after all, share a common quality. They are both debts to be repaid. I'm not even gonna try. I'm butchering this so bad. Come with me. There's no hope left for S-Corp. You said it yourself, didn't you? We'll never win as long as we're playing their rigged game. Listen, they might have a 9-stone advantage over you, but to me, it's as small as 3. I'll manage to keep my finger on the pulse. Besides, change doesn't always have to come from the outside. The old wisdom says that to catch a tiger, you must enter its den. But wouldn't it help to have an ally waiting in the tiger's den to back you up when the time comes? There, all done. Your bonds are severed. Go now. Go and build your strength beyond the walls of S-Corp. Yet beware of relying overmuch on foreign powers. I don't have it in me to take up such a grand purpose. I'm done with S-Corp. You know how I am? I just go with the flow. Yes, do as you will. Go with the flow. Be whatever you want to be. I'm just hoping that the currents of the river will someday bring you back to S-Corp. That's all. Though I left the rigged game, my records afterwards weren't stellar. The laying of the stones on my board was always full of holes and mistakes. I joined the Blade lineage, became their mentor, dragged them into the library until eventually I cut down those who placed their faith in me. Self-defeating move after self-defeating move. When Yong-op had let me go, I thought I had escaped the tiger's maw. But as let the game progress with the flow, I soon came to the realization that my life was an endless sequence of connect and dies. I was in a losing play from the start. Shadows dancing by the distant humanoid form began to grow like wildfire, and those in the attire of the Blade lineage, one by one, leapt over the wall and approached us, like the projection of Kim's darkening fathoms. They're from his memories. Films and photographs can sometimes remain undoctored, but the impressions a person gets from viewing the photograph is malleable. Then they must be after. Yeah, Kim believes that if the Blade lineage were to come back to life, they would want to kill him. Like a prey backed against the cliff's edge, I am left bereft of paths. My hand hesitates with no room to place the stone. Misjudgments burgeon when contemplations harrow the mind indeed. Now all that remains is to neutralize that one enemy combatant in the yard. Tell me, who's waiting for us in there? You should know, this place and its enemies are projections of your memories. Not the hardest guess to make, is it? Expect to find Im Gyeong-op in there. Gyeong-op was a woman of loyalty and principles. Even as a military commissioner, she never stopped wanting to change the way the royal court was. But even she must have broken in the end. I scourged the newspaper and TV for anything I could find on the current state of S-Corp, but it's plain as day that nothing had changed there since my departure. Mentor, is that not but a baseless speculation? Your concerns growing uncontrollably? Never have you spoken to us about such a monstrous one in the past. Thus what lies before you is but a figment of the distortion reflecting upon your memories. Did this Im Gyeong-op appear as that monster does, Mentor? No. Gyeong-op wasn't like that. Gyeong-op, I still believe that deserves to die. But destruction's not the point. The point is that I want it to be a place where I can cut away the avaricious, corrupted, and have it be a wing that cares for its common folk. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were seeking to supplant the current S-Corp. You know that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just a wanderer, floating down the river's flow to where the currents take him. When the river bent and I hit a wall, someone picked me up and made a blade out of me. Once abandoned, I returned to the flow and found myself a mentor to those who afforded me the undeserved faith. The river continues to wind, carrying me back to S-Corp. Once I had fled. Shall I let the blade sing my inner thoughts? You think I'm satisfied with the way S-Corp is? But your method, as it is now, goes against the principles. I expected better from someone of your wiles. If you enjoy those principles so much, then why ask me to leave the game? Because someone has to stay behind and try to bring change within the limits of their principles. I only hope that one of those bends in the river of yours would float you back to knock on the gates of S-Corp once it was primed for change. Has that changed? What do you think? You at least seem to think I have. Because you believe that I shall stand in your path. Stand in my path and stem the flow of this river evermore. Oh, here it goes. It's all going down. I have to fix my team. Very well. The law states that the denial of the will of the royal court is a crime deserving of death by beheading. I, Im Gyeong-op, second ordinate of the... I'm not even gonna bother. Official of the sword and military commissioner of the royal court shall uphold the command and sever the buds of rebellion before they propagate.
囚人の皆さんの状態に何か変化が。
재밌겠는데? 쳐다보긴 우리 엄마 멋있는 건 알아봤어.
들어봐. 당신을 죽여라 절규하는
당신
내 모든 시간들의 아우성이!
저를 보여줍니다.
결정, 해금, 초원, 지령에게 불확실한 것은 없네.
누군가의 죽음을
할수
마주하며
있거든.
제가 느껴야 했던, 그럼에도 애써 묻어내지려 했던 감정. 아, 큰일이네요. 이제 여러분의 죽음이 너무 가슴 아프게 다가와요.
그려낸 대로.
감명 확보. 이어.
오랜만.
미래를 과거와 같이.
저기요! 움직임이 멈췄는데 괜찮으신가요? 단테님, 아무래도 의식을 잃으신 것 같아요.
영감이 떠올랐어.
이 순간이 다하도록 베어내리라.
자, 것도 없겠고.
쳐다보기에는 우리는 멋있는 거 알아가지고.
그쯤 해줬으니 포장지 한번 벗겨야겠군. 그렇지.
이거 공감 맞지?
바로 그거다. 딸래. 필살. 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
敵の調子が悪くなっているみたいです。
재밌겠는데?
대응 완료.
매뉴얼을 만들어두길 잘했네. 그렇기만 해. 이 순간이 다들 베어내리라. 낮도 밤도 지나 숨이 닿도록 베어내리라.
앞으로 하나.
무하퍼도 이제야 좀 이해했고.
장부를 펼칠 것도 없겠고. 이리 와라.
우리는 멋있는 건 알아가지고.
그렇지. 바로 그거다. 딸래.
숨 막히도록 견뎌왔고 절박하게 갈망했으며 헤아릴 수 없이 저주했으니
아, 여기서 이런 공격이 잘 먹히는군요.
예술해. 히 크고 신 오일로 짜증나는 시선이 늘었고 앞으로 한 번만 더 기분 나쁜 눈빛으로 내 검을 힐끔힐끔 쳐다보면 그땐 예외 없이 모분이다. 그려낸 대로
지금 이쪽에 편의를 비추어 장면을 쪽에 다시 미쳐. 김치겠어. 기운권일 수 모든 걸 들어모아 삼천대천.
새삼스럽지만 꽤 괜찮네. 제가 너무 게이지.
가져갈 수 없을 거다.
이 순간이 닿도록 베어내리라. 글쎄아이군. 그럼 안녕. 몰아친 것을 처절한 원망.
엄마는 무기라면
저희
뭐든지
뼈를
잘 다뤘어.
저의
그중
산업
제일
성은
뛰어난 게 뭐?
외면의 예술.
効果的な攻撃でした。囚人が退却できませんでした。あ、ダンテさんには囚人を蘇生できる能力がありましたよね。
그대는 어디까지 각오했을지.
이 순간이 다하도록 되었느리라.
더 야성적인 깊이로. 이제 완료. 지리멸렬.
일찍 끝나겠군. 이런 걸 보면 단축의 예술. 끝을 알 수 없던 엄마가 선택한 최선의 방법이었을지도 모르겠어. 거미집에서의 생활도 내가 겪어야 했을 기다림도 뭐 짧게 끊어내고 싶었을 텐데.
양밤이 떠올랐어요.
I didn't even need to play the slow game. I was just too powerful. I didn't even need to kill everyone. Well, not yet. Plot twist phase 2.
알고 있겠지. 예측은 의미 없다는 걸. 저렴.
She's not as powerful as I recall, yet weighed down by the brand, I am not so far ahead or behind. I don't know, I think you're doing pretty well. Everybody says as they're like all bloody and broken. Verily, they appear evenly matched, yet he's wielding that sword like he's trying to get himself killed. Blade work is far beneath him, seeking the end here, is he? Can you afford to look away in a duel? What are you doing? You'd rather lock your sword with mine than parry it away? Can't have a proper sword fight without a blade lock, though, huh? The duel between the mentor of a syndicate and a military commissioner of S-Corp is neck to neck, clash after clash. The two warriors eventually lock their blades in a contest of might, before it comes to a close and a final fatal bout. When the dust settles, the mentor lies in the sand dead. If that's what you want, I will grant it. Good, let's finish this. Just as Bamboo had Kim and Im-gyeon up ready for their final bout, Ongdu leaped in between them. Ah, Ongdu. Are you really so ashamed that you would choose death over life, mentor? Are you so scared to live that you'd rather die? Put him back in his place. Bring him back to reality. Kick him into the shins. Yes, I am. I am scared. I am terrified of my own audacity to live my days as though I hadn't failed everything and everyone who had the misfortune of placing their faith in me. My mission, my honor, my fellows. As though my path isn't haunted by ghosts, as though I can stand shamelessly before the watching eyes of the heavens. What have I even done with the life that was given to me? Blind to the realities of my homeland, I served a master who chose politics over loyalty and justice. I cut down my very fellows who I chose to trust a fool like me. I walked my entire life as the flow carried me, and when I finally had the mind to look back, all I saw were blood-red traces everywhere I had gone. Isn't it about time I admitted that this game cannot be one that... Mentor, the weakness in your strength has failed your mission. The weakness in your position has failed your honor, and the weakness in your heart has become the fiendish blade that cuts down your fellows. Ongdu, I thought you were... Oh shoot, come on. Og. Ongdu, I thought you were here to talk me into keep on living, yet your words pain me so. What weakens yours is it the time that you would cast away your own creed in life? What other weaknesses will you use as an excuse today? Stop trying to bear responsibilities, ask not of you. The Blade lineage was never about responsibility, nor was it about you, Mentor. Or does your overbearing guilt help you overestimate your importance? What was that saying again? Fellow travelers in the same boat will aid one another? Not a single soul demanded that of you. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. And I have had enough of that flippant larking of yours. We all have. Do you truly believe that not a single one of us had picked up on the fact that all your levity was a means of relieving yourself of the burden you had cast upon your own shoulders? None of us ever demanded some impossible feat from you. What was it that you've always said to describe yourself? That you are but a butchered blade that wields not itself, a tool wielded by willing hands. Why, Mentor? I know not what kind of shame or responsibilities a mere tool has, do you? Because I fail to see any. Dang, got some wisdom going on here. If the shame does not subside still, then shroud your face with that bamboo hat of yours and live on. Live on so that you may repay your debts. You smack him? Out of blades, out of arrows. Even the heart that sought death lies defeated at your feet. There is no stone left for my next gambit. There is nothing more. Indeed, perhaps there was some merit in your words that I must retreat from the silly game of stones and become a fiend of blades. Mentor, that is not what I said. Interesting. Whence did you hear that poem? Yes, when inverted, a bamboo hat is like an unladen ship. Ongdu and Imgyop were knocked away from Bamboo Hide Kim as though bounced off by an invisible force. Oh dang, is he manifesting ego? Kim raises his gaze to meet the empty air as though someone were there, a hollow laughter escaping his lips. We know who he's talking to. It's the voice. But your last move was not a good one. Indeed, I did wish to become a blade. And what did you do? Forge me into an indiscriminate one that cleaves blindly into friend and foe both. It seems that, in your excitement, you have cornered yourself with that last move. Well, as it seems like I have an opportunity to retrace our past moves. Allow me to try something different this time. Be not so vexed by this round, as you say. We never know what the next game shall bring. I appreciate and will treasure the other bits of your advice. But let us play by my rules for tonight's game. Something's different this time, innit? He ain't distorting, I think that's... He's getting an ego. An efflorescence, perhaps. Nothing is for certain indeed, yet I trust the words of my last remaining follower have also reached your ears, I am but a tool wielded by willing hands. Nothing in my life has ever been certain. I know not whether this move is what cements my defeat, but I desire it to be a victorious stone nonetheless. Thank you, I will take what encouragement I can. The strange invisible pressure dissipates, and the armored woman, Im-Pyeon-up, readjusts her grip on the sword. Kim turned around to look at her, and I saw the weighty shadow seem to have lifted from his face, replaced by a mix of relief and determination. Oh dang. A bit embarrassing to change my stance now, but... Now I fight to live. And I suppose you will be okay with that. Of course. Oh dang, cutscene. To hide from heaven's gaze this hat I wore. An empty boat it bore my friends along. In bamboo veiled we drift from shore to shore. With wine I don my hat to watch blooms throng. In mirth I doff that shroud to moon adore. Oh dang, what does it look like? So with this bamboo hat to veil my brow, though winds and rain may rage, I shall not throw. Heed me, bamboo-headed one, speak your name, for I find your outfit dubious of character. I am he who has mentored the lineage of blades to its premature end. I am he who has sought to bring salvation to the downtrodden, to no avail. What to call a man who has failed to disburden himself of the world? How to name a man who has failed to bear the weight of the world? There is none. Oh dang. So call me Bamboo-Hatted Kim. Oh heck yeah. Bamboo-Hatted Kim, the treacherous wretch.
올. 하지만
The photographs rapidly fold away from reality. Perhaps because Kim had successfully managed to face his own past. When the photographs and memories that were overlaid upon the fathoms are pulled away, what remains is a man in dirty, ragged clothing. The fathoms of S-Corp slowly lose grip on this world, and soon reveals the fathoms of the distortion that was hidden beneath. I see residents of the backstreet in their blissful highs from taking the canned experiences, and a man who's watching them with disapproval. Why is everyone running away from all of this? A baker always surrounded by the smell of freshly baked bread. A florist who makes lovely boutiques for graduating youngsters. A photographer who captures beautiful sights to remember. Our lives, our experiences. You want to be a billionaire with an extravagant mansion and a nest? A legendary fixer who can make the syndicates cower in fear just by going on a stroll? What you get from those cans is not real. Is everything in your lives, all of this, just empty means to an end so that you can get high on fake purchased experience nailed into a can? If that's all your life is, then my life, and the photographs I've taken are all... No, it can't be. My life, those experiences and memories I've photographed are different. You're all blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without a care about the real thing. That's why you're all floundering, grasping at illusions. So let me show you the things I've shot. The memories, the experiences, the reality of your lives. It was only in passing I glimpsed an unmistakable grimace, a scowl on Mr. Marsal's face. I reflected upon the events today and could at least begin to guess as to why that might be. You don't believe that there's any experience in either the canned experience or that guy's photographs, do you, Marsal? Because experiences and memories aren't the same thing. What really distinguishes them, I wasn't sure. Correct, manager. Dang, he finally nailed something for Marsal. Dang. But I knew that... But what I knew was that the distinction was, for whatever reason, important to Marsal. Huh? A figure materializes into a humanoid form, swirling out of the projector. He must be the distortions. Next to him is another figure, stumbling out in a giant suit of armor. Blimey, that thing's still alive? It is but an overlay of the fathoms, created within a distorted space. The concept of life and death has little meaning for such a thing. Yet faint does she grow. It must be that the distortion's power is waning. Hark, accused ones, for these are your crimes. The crime of fomenting chaos in a foreign wing while impersonating coons of... I'm not gonna say it, that's gonna drive me insane. The crime of exploiting the suffering of downtrodden as a mere veil for one's own fathoms. And, though it be a part of a reenactment, impersonating a military commissioner of the kingdom without the royal decree. Pursuant to the law of the homeland, the accused is to be sentenced to death by beheading. Before we even had a chance to step in or anything, the faint mirage-like warrior brought down her sword on the docugrapher's neck, decapitating him. Well, that's one way to end a distortion. Oh dang. Got the nice nitty-gritty of that. An entity of the Fathom slay one outside it? Such an instance has heretofore never been observed, but as it is happening right now, right before our eyes, I can only say yes. Diop is a woman of principle. She would have done the same to the bitter end had she truly been here. As the headless body of the inflection point crumples to the floor, Diop's shapes slowly phases out of reality, and we find ourselves back in the projection room. Well, didn't even get to figure out his wrongs and come to the some conclusions about the distortion thing he went through. Just died. And there. No way, don't tell me that headless corpses. We found a large group of injured N-Corp staff thrown in pell-mell about the room, and Ezra, who was looking down at the headless body of the docugrapher. Yep, right on, gotcha, team leader. And that's the initial report done. Good work, guys. Tucking her radio back in, Ezra commended us in a relieved voice. The distortion has perished in the mission. Will that not cause trouble? Yeah, that kind of sucks, but it's not like you guys could help it. Who would have thought that the distortion would kill its own inflection point? If we knew that in advance, we probably would have prepared something to stop it, but... Well, that's for the LCD and team leader to investigate. All in all, the mission was still a success, since we managed to eradicate that distortion from N-Corp, not to mention satisfy our client, and, you know, kill a bunch of N-Corp employees. But not like they matter. Also, Ezra looked towards Ongdu and Kim with a lighthearted shrug, clearly less concerned than she had been earlier. Now I finally know why you've been disappearing on your own without letting us know. Glad you don't seem to have any more reason to, though. So it's all good. Hey, that's the real win of this mission in my book. Huey, the point is we did it. We did the thing. It's done. Gosh, I swear, I am never doing one of these without the team leader ever again. Seriously, I got this close to losing it more than a few times. It seemed that the responsibility of looking after her LCD juniors had kept her stressed and high-strung throughout the mission. Yeah, our group's kind of unorganized, to say the least. I hadn't noticed it, but her brows had finally relaxed, bringing back the chipper Ezra I was more familiar with. Thus, I shall not abide by more of your indolence. You will now join us on mission and task as you are expected to. Is that understood, Mentor? Otherwise, she'll break your kneecaps. Ongdu, would you mind releasing the hems of my sleeve? Oh, what would I wouldn't give to lie down and pass out right about now. The raw emotion in Kim's voice had likewise faded, and with Ongdu's voice no longer as barbed as it had been in the Fathoms, it seemed to me that the two were back to the more relaxed selves I knew. I can't exactly say more relaxed for Kim, though, because that's how he's always been, at least from what I've seen. In any case, fine, you are released. Phew, you've given me a good, hard shake. I don't feel so good. Say, Ongdu, I'm afraid that they may have gone overboard with upgrading your arm. With your hem release, allow me to reiterate that. Stop. My heart finds peace as well as I watch them bicker. Is everyone doing okay? Yes, Executive Manager. Our forces have only suffered minor injuries that do not require you to go through the trouble of rewinding the clock. Hang on, mate. I've got a dislocated shoulder. I can pop that right back into place for you. Allow me, I've taken care of similar injuries in the field. Approaches Heathcliff menacingly. Yeah, and guess what happened the last time I let you do that? You rotated my bloody arm the wrong way and turned the bones of my shoulder into little chips. Don't sweat it, I can rewind that. By now I've already grown used to the pain of rewinding the sinner's injuries. A dislocated shoulder shouldn't be a big deal. I have ought to ask thee a clarification if thou wilt. Yeah? Dost thou recall how we battled the N-Corp's Pinfraity? The foes has taken photographs of them. And they are those who are sent to identify and capture the one who hath violated a taboo, forsooth. As we stood in their path, 'tis no mystery why we had come to blows, but I find this to be most perplexing. Wherefore did they take so many photographs of us? Maybe they were taking photographs to report their locations, or were being watched. Recording footage in N-Corp is taboo in N-Corp, meaning they can't install security cameras here. Their only option is for keeping a constant record when tracking down a case or a person is by photographs. Then thine words hold water yet. Most puzzling, forsooth. For I recall with clarity, from a certain point they had begun photographing us with a renewed obsession. Oh, hey, that sounds like a question for Marcel. Given how often I had to rely on the information Marcel had provided me in this mission, I think I've often enough practice on how to phrase my questions the right way to pull the answers I need from him. I couldn't get him to tell us his own judgments on matters, but since he seemed to have a near photographic memory of what he's seen. Marcel, do you remember how many pictures of us the N-Corp staff took? I do, 56 times. That's a lot of pictures. You actually remember the exact number of the times they shot us? I do. That's always so neat, seeing his memory in action. So did you get the chance to see which one of us got the most photographs taken? I did. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Me? I make for a fine mile, if I do say so myself. No, it wasn't you. It was me. Oh dang, Marcel did something. Huh? But why? I mean, what's the most statistically likely reason that it was you? It was at that moment that I heard the sound of pebbles crunching under boots approaching us louder and louder. Uh-oh, we're getting apprehended. What the heck? Encore. Oh, dang it, are you here because we beat some of your guys? Listen here, we had to because of the distortion, see? It's as she says, the skirmish was an unfortunate consequence of combating the distortion phenomenon. Limbus Company provides a customer damage compensation program in case of such unforeseen events. Instead of engaging us in battle, please elect to contact the emergency response team at our headquarters as your first. Yes, we fully understand the circumstances surrounding the battle, and we intend to submit an expeditious request for damage compensation, as you recommended. But we are here on different business, so if you would be so kind as to let us speak. Different business? They're here to arrest me, manager. Hold on, Marcel, let's hear the map. Wait, what? Marcel did not resist. He walked past us and joined the group of N-Corp employees. Please confirm you are Marcel, formerly one who nails, and a former member of the maintenance and management team of the Grand Magasin Civic headquarters. Confirmed. By the decree of the Giants, you have been expelled from N-Corp with imprisonment as penalty for non-compliance, pursuant to Article 12 of the eviction regulations. You have also been informed that remaining in N-Corp's district for more than 6 hours may subject you to immediate arrest. Please confirm that your memory pertaining to the above incident has not been expunged and you are of sound mind to recall it in entirety. Confirmed. Very well then. In keeping with regulations, I hereby notify that you are now subject to arrest and transport. Place your hands behind your back and please offer no resistance. I am required to inform you that resistance may incur further penalties. Wait, stop. What the hell is going on? Wait, forget all that. Did you know this was happening, Marcel? Marcel, who stood calmly with his arms behind his back as the N-Corp employees handcuffed him, nodded placidly in my direction. I did, manager. I mean, but great to tell us sooner. Then why the heck didn't you warn? It was less a question and more of a reflex, but I didn't need to hear his reply to know why. You didn't ask. Right, I never asked, did I? You did not. I'd say you should have warned us way earlier, but you just reply, oh, all of this instructions going forward, right? Yes, I would. Subject now in custody. From this moment onward, you are considered a suspect and will be transported to N-Corp's headquarters for your trial. As for the rest of you, would you be the organization the suspect is a part of? Organize your arse. What in the bloody hell do you think you're? Heathcliff, you are about to antagonize N-Corp, a wing. In the absence of reasonable justifiable cause, such as a contract, engaging in battle with the city's corporate entities is strongly discouraged. Yeah? And we're just supposed to twiddle our thumbs while they drag him away? This must be another piece of information they neglected to tell me. Yet another development that was set in stone. Despite her calm and collected explanation, I could tell this was not a pleasant situation for Faust either, as she was sending an uncomfortable glance at the N-Corp employees. So, where are you taking him? A retrial will be scheduled for the execution of the exile sentence. They replied dispassionately as they took Marcel into custody. We looked back at them, not knowing what to do or say. The late afternoon sun pricked us as like 1,000 hot needles. Marcel, now in cuffs, gazed at us with an expression that would not have seemed out of place on an ordinary day. And are we done? We gotta pick this up at Canto 10? That answers my question. Alright, we're going to court, I suppose. Try to get Marcel unarrested.